I'm going to run through some fun history for my Memento Mori song. First and foremost, the way I compose songs, a lot of times I'll just start with a melody idea, and then I'll work from there. And I think this is my first idea. By the way, as you can see, this is a scratch. Obviously, I'll scratch tracks. This is like my first group of takes through. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't even use these last ones. I don't think in the actual thing. But 7 comps through. I believe this is without auto-tune. It's an early take, so it probably is. But so here's the vocal melody. I think I started the song with compositionally.
Don't be afraid, darling, no. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid, darling, no. Don't be afraid.
Something along those lines, right? And then if we go back to the beginning of it, here's what my scratch track stuff I had started. It's missing a lot, but this is like the very first stages of the song years ago.
Can you remember where you lost me? It was somewhere in between your childhood dreams and
I'm not a great piano player, so I just really simple.
you heard your humanity.
Surprisingly, my guitar solo first take feels like the
And then they
final version.
nullify the reasons.
Improv, and then I just clean up I get the general ideas there.
Our lips, they speak the words, so
I do. Now here's the other side of things. People don't realize a lot of times when I compose, there's tons of parts I don't put in the song, and I use these parts to either establish a theme later on for the decision for a different song part, or for other songs that tie into the feel, because this album has a lot of continuity from song to song with themes and lyrics. So anyway, stuff like this, where I suck at, again, I'm not a good piano player, but throwing this stuff together for ideas for later. That's cool. That's too energetic for this song. Here's my main theme. I ended up that part, do 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 do. That's the piano part. It's in there. It's quietly in there in the mix. And I did it subliminally a little bit because later on in the song, I reintroduced that exact same theme at the end of the song with a broken down piano where the piano ages as it plays, which is a really neat production trick I wanted to do. But it's the same, it's that melody, but it goes out of key as it's bending downwards because it's aging and dying. So anyway, I always do that. I'll take themes that you don't always catch, and I'll hide them somewhere in a song, and then they reappear on their own, and there's a sense of familiarity is why I think that works. Stuff like that. I could go, don't be afraid, and do it with like a clean vocal, but it doesn't fit, so I just like really screamed it because it feels better. It sounds good. You could hear my throat ripping apart as that's happening in the mix. So anyway, that's the very first couple tracked versions of the song right there. Just really, really loose and shitty off-time stuff. But that's how I start all my projects. It's interesting letting people. All right, so now here's the final version of the song years later of me messing around with things when I ever had time. Now this is the part I'm just going to show the orchestra for this whole.
don't be afraid.
It might be the same one.
Of anything, don't be afraid,
I think that's the first one I did.
Don't be afraid of me. shine so beautiful.
All right, now off to the. Actually, you know what? This part's really neat. By the way, I actually played the bass guitar on this too. Not that I'm good at it. I learned it just to be able to play on my own song. Listen to how they interplay. It's in the background, but it really adds something. Feel the drums. No organ. Organ. You kill the bass. I played all these on the keyboard, the orchestra stuff. Hear his organ part though? I wanted to delete that slide. I said why? I said it's distracting from the climactic part of the song. And then my wife said you'd have to be an idiot. That's the whole cool part. Like that's where it builds out. I was like, yeah, but it's like in the way of the guitar part, and which might still be true. But I left it in. I turned it up a lot. Main theme. Without the lead part of it, obviously. Hear those nines? I love those emotional tension nines from an orchestra part. Here, listen to this. That's not the harmony. Here's the harmony. My camera software, it's too much running with all this at once, so the camera software is like gonna die. So it's crackling and breaking up my audio, which is a shame. But I'm on a pretty old computer, because again, I don't write the same song over and over and get bunches of money. I create art, which means I don't have any money for a new computer like everybody else. So unfortunately, we're working from like a little bit of a slowdown system, but sometimes having less decisions to make is better. You hear how far away those are? Really, really neat. By the way, this song has a lot of depth and meaning to me lyrically and even compositionally. So I'm going to start talking. This is just like the interesting overview. But I might start talking in detail about composition options as far as how harmonies are working throughout the song, chord progression, key changes, whatever happens in the song, and why those decisions are made. Because it's very interesting. This is an elaborate as fuck song. Doesn't mean it sounds complex and crazy, because I usually don't like that. But there's a lot to this because we're passing through different sections that aren't typically like, I'm not looping the same part over and over and saying, okay, let's go back to the verse. It's not a formulaic thing at all. It's art. So it's a little bit different. It's more theatrical than a regular song too, which I tend to like more because I like artistic, creative stuff that tells a deeper emotional story rather than paint by numbers bullshit, if that makes sense. I'm sure somebody else out there agrees with me. If not, that's okay.